The ice storm has moved out of our state. Thousands of people in North Georgia, unfortunately, are still dealing with some lingering impacts. Atlanta News First, Niamani Watson is at the Georgia Emergency Management Headquarters with more on the aftermath from the ice storm.
The ice storm caused widespread power outages and downed trees across Georgia, including metro Atlanta. Crews have been working around the clock on recovery efforts, but these bitter cold temperatures are making it a challenge in some counties. Today, roads are passable again, and the power in many communities restored as Georgia continues to thaw out from this weekend's ice storm. Georgia Emergency Management Director Josh Lamb says preparation beforehand helped with a quick recovery.
You never know exactly how a storm's going to work out, so you've got to prepare for the worst where the best can happen. I think that's what we've done here.
The winter weather caused ice buildup on roads, power lines, and trees. In Sandy Springs, one person was hurt after a tree fell through their home. Some of the hardest hit areas were in North Georgia, where the ice storm knocked out service to more than 100,000 customers. This morning, more than 3,000 people in Northeast Georgia remained without power. Georgia Power says the area received extensive damage from ice and falling trees, making access to power lines challenging. With bitter cold temperatures overnight Monday into Tuesday morning, the roads refreezing is another concern. Lamb asking people, especially in Northeast Georgia, to be careful.
If you don't have to travel, don't. And if you do, use extreme caution, slow down, especially watch out for those bridges and overpasses because they could still be frozen.
Lamb says they've also brought in crews from South Georgia to help with recovery in Northeast Georgia. Reporting from the Georgia Emergency Management Headquarters, I'm Niamani Watson, Atlanta News First.